Back, everybody. You're just in time for What's Hot, where we talk about the stories that have everybody talking.
And we're joined today by Klein from Boelter and Lincoln, as well as Jeff Wagner is back with us. Well, a school in Arizona asks a father not to wear his police uniform when dropping his daughter off at school. The reason, it seems, his work uniform has made some parents scared.
The issue is that parents were concerned because this police officer was carrying a gun. What message do you have for these delicate flowers of parents, Jeff?
Well, it's not like Dad was a Chippendale dancer, okay? If that was the case, I could understand maybe why they would have some issues with him showing up, you know, in his work outfit. But this is the story. This is a cop, and he's either dropping his daughter off or picking her up, and you've got some of these kids who apparently go home and say, well, there's a man that might have had a gun. And instead of the parents saying, he's a police officer, he's one of the good guys. Right. If you're ever in trouble, go see him. They call the principal. And then the principal calls the dad and says, don't show up in uniform. It's insane on so many levels.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like people nowadays have lost a lot of logic that they may have once had. And this is a prime example of that. I don't think in previous decades people would have immediately thought to, you know, call the school and demand that he change his uniform because he is a cop and has a gun with him. I just think people need to take a step back, take a deep breath, and think about the situation first. He's clearly, you know, protecting a larger society, and we should be welcoming and thanking him for that.
Don't we have other parents out there in the country clamoring for armed police officers in the building?
Well, yeah. Now, look, I can, if I'm trying to cut the parents any slack at all, maybe, you know, I could see a call saying, hey, my daughter came home and she said that there was a guy in a uniform that was picking up little Sally and he had a gun. At which point in time the principal says, oh, no, that Sally's dad is a cop. At which point in time, oh, okay, no harm, no foul. But to say, well, I don't want him coming to school with that uniform, or my kids are getting scared, man, that's your problem. It's not the guy's problem.
Not to mention the fact that maybe if we all went to PTA meetings, we would know that, oh, you know what? Little Sally's dad is an officer.
Right. Yeah.
I think education is key here, so they should probably
Teachable
step
moment.
it up. Yeah, exactly.
Little Jimmy's very sensitive. All right, coming up.
Nice.
That's exactly what's hot, as well as our viewer choice topic of the day.
Again, we have Klein and Jeff Wagner here for the Friday afternoon party. All right, topic number 2. Millions of moms and kids are at risk of losing some help from the government. The shutdown has stopped funding the Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for women's infants and children, known as WIC. About 9 million moms and kids under 5 rely on WIC. Should WIC still be funded despite the government shutdown?
This is a tough one. I think you can definitely make the case that the egos in Washington need to sort themselves out and do what's right for the country instead of what's right for their own personal agendas.
Yep. I think that, you know, actually, right now, moving through Congress, there's this attempt to say, okay, we don't want to end the entire partial government shutdown, but we are going to identify different programs, whether it's funding for the National Institute of Health, WIC, maybe this whole debate that's going on with the park, and they're sending a bunch of standalone bills up. Now, so far, they can't get them through the Senate. I think that is a good idea. Let's identify the basic services that aren't being met, and let's deal with them. A month from now, if this thing is still going on, you're going to have issues with the food stamp people as well. So I think, at the very least, I would say let's fund the areas that I think everybody agrees are essential, and that would include WIC.
Yeah, I think that's one of the top priorities that should be addressed. I mean, clearly nutrition and food for little ones is extremely important to our society. So put the egos aside and do what's best for our children.
Well, we shall see. Well, it is now time for our lightning round. A handful of employers are looking for workers who are nice. The job listing for a communications manager specified that the applicant must be, quote, nice. Life is too short to work with jerks. Well, do you think it has come to a point where employers need to ask for nice workers only? I mean, come on. We know you can do the job. At one point it becomes, can you work with everybody else?
Sure, but there has to be core competency there before you
Sure,
get down
but jerk
to the brass
does not
tacks.
include being core competent.
But far too often people will try to fake it until they make it, and then they just end up being a jerk anyway. So anything that you can do to weed out the jerks, because Lord knows there's plenty of them out there, I say thumbs up and let's do it.
See, I agree. My Jimmy Buffett song lyric
for
the
here we
day
go.
Here we go.
For Friday is breathe in, breathe out, move on. Matter of fact, I've got that on T-shirts. Life really is too short to make it so difficult. And look, I appreciate there is a role for divas, guy divas, gal divas. I get it. But most of the time, that wears thin. I don't care. I mean, you can find really good people who can get along with other folks. I don't want to work in an environment where everybody is going to be difficult. It just drains all the air out of the place.
Not to mention, for 8 hours a day, I have to deal with sitting next to someone who's a jerk. I'm not saying that's you. No, I'm not saying that at all. But I'm just saying it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
You want somebody you want to work with.
Well, fitting
It's
into
nice.
corporate culture is such a huge thing nowadays because we do spend so much time at our workplaces that you have to fit in and can't be abrasive.
Yep.
All
Let's
right.
find nice people, and we're all nice people, right?
Yes,
we get
we
along,
are.
huh?
Breathe in.
We do.
Breathe out.
Breathe in, breathe out, move on.
All right, the What's Hot discussion will continue online. You can find that page, tmj4.com/